Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing? Can you hear me? Let's check this out first. Go to the chat. I'm going to send a hello to everyone. Oh, perfect, Marcia. I appreciate that. I'm always worried that I'm going to start this and my speaker or my mic or something will be interrupted. So, good evening, everyone. Nice to see everyone here. We'll have everybody coming into the room shortly. Oh, Jerry and Sharon, nice to see you. Yeah, great that you could join this evening. So, really appreciate that. Yeah, there's people are coming in quickly. Wow, everybody's getting in. Oh, hi Denise. I missed you at the One of a Kind. So nice that you could join us tonight. That's awesome. Yeah, great. Hello from Kamloops. Awesome, Mark. Love it. Natasha. Okay, sounds great. Awesome, Natasha. Natasha is our gallery manager at Niagara on the Lake. So, oh, and Dave, you're there. I hope you're enjoying Colorful Relationships, Dave. Beautiful piece. I haven't heard from you, so anyway, I hope it's hanging beautifully in that bedroom you mentioned. So, and Trish, hello as well. Thank you for joining. Oh, Janine is there, my sister, who is joining as well. Our manager in Saskatchewan. So people keep coming on. Hello from Innisfil. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Rob and Deb. Thank you for joining from Calgary. Hello from Edmonton, Brian. That's awesome. Yeah. We'll just wait a few minutes as everybody gets in. Oh, Jen from Sylvan Lake. Oh, thanks, Dave. Glad to hear that you absolutely love it. That's awesome. Beautiful piece. Yeah. Linda Thomas. Great. Hi. Yeah. Great. Well, we'll just leave everybody kind of get in a little bit here. Should be waiting for a few more people. Hi, Jennifer from Calgary. Oh, Tanya from Australia. Wow, you're probably our furthest one this evening. So that's awesome. Yeah. Well, while we're waiting for everybody to get in, I'll start with a poll here. Okay, so let's begin with a poll. And we're going to find out where everybody's from right now. So if you guys want to check in with us here, where are you from? Ooh, Eastern Canada won right off the bat. Holy. Okay, we'll see. Western Canada is coming on strong. Oh, United States is there. Other parts of the world is there as well. That's great. Wow, awesome. Well, I think I'm going to end the poll here as it is 6:01, so we should be able to begin. And it looks like Western Canada, you are 67% of the people joining us this evening, so welcome. Eastern Canada, 20%, 10% from the United States. What a great turnout tonight from the US. Thank you all. And 2% from another part of this beautiful planet. So welcome, everyone. Welcome. All right. Well, let's begin here with our wolf webinar. People will keep joining us, I'm sure. And I'll have I won't be able to go ahead and monitor the chat as we're going, but if things come up, please save all of your questions for the end. At the end, I will allow plenty of time for people to go ahead and comment or ask questions. No issues around that at all. So there'll be lots of time at the end to ask questions. Okay. So Wild Wolves of Canada. Great time of year to be picking wild wolves. Before I get started with that, I just want to talk a little bit about myself. A lot of you know who I am. I'm Jason Bantle. I'm the photographer for over 20 years now. I've been doing nature photography across Canada. My passion began as a young boy. My family said, get outdoors and go walk around the backyard. And of course, that's what I did. And I experienced lots of neat things in the backyard. And then I headed to the Arctic during my undergraduate degree in ecology and fell in love with the area and eventually picked up a camera and had to share it with the world. So that's really what stirred me to start my career and to really want to share my passion of nature and my love of nature. In 2019, I was recognized by the Natural History Museum of London, highly commended, as you can see the photo over on my shoulder here. And yeah, it was nice to get recognized as one of the top 100 nature photographers in the world that year. I want to thank my community. That's all of you. I want to thank you for everyone that I saw this fall at the art shows, everyone who's visited our galleries, everyone who continues to support myself, my team, and our conservation efforts. I don't know what to say except for thank you. We need you more than ever. So thank you so much. And I hope you're just appreciating nature through the art that's on your walls. And I hope it's bringing you many, many days of smiles and enjoyment. So Dave says it was the perfect size. So Dave, I'm happy to hear that. So we love that people love the work and of course love nature, and it brings so much into all of our homes, right? So that's awesome. All right, let's begin with the presentation here, okay? I just want to do a quick shout out to Horizon Pet Nutrition. They're one of our sponsors, our corporate sponsors for our land fund. All of you are part of that as well. And I just want to say thank you. We continue to contribute to that. We're going to have some announcements coming up in the next few months about that. If you do have a pet, consider supporting Horizon Pet Nutrition, as they support us, and they're a great organization. So, and all that land that we conserve, this image, this was 2 years ago on Earth Day, we released Thankful Soul. And so that's pretty much explains and describes myself to all of you and Horizon Pet Nutrition. This was photographed right on our conservation lands in Saskatchewan. Look at that wolf, he's smiling, or she is. So just a beautiful moment and something we can all celebrate. So Thankful Soul. And these, of course, are all on my websites. So if you want to peruse the website after to learn more about these, you absolutely can. Okay, so all modern dogs are descendants of wolves. Our pets, Spirit and Soul there, were pets of mine. Dogs are essentially domesticated wolves, and they share about 99.9% of DNA. They can actually reproduce with a wolf and produce a healthy offspring. I mean, obviously, there's some physiology that has to go there. You have to have similar sized individuals. But there's no denying, it's amazing the plethora of different canid species out there, and just how varied they can be. And to think they all descended from wolves, pretty neat. Up until 2 centuries ago, wolves were the most widely distributed mammal in the entire world. The only place that you couldn't find them would be the rainforests and the deserts, but otherwise they occurred throughout, all over. They're just widely distributed. And some of the descendants are these little coyote cubs here, and you can see varieties. And these different dog families, whether it be coyotes or domestic dogs, they all have different characteristics in terms of their behaviors, in terms of their social structure. And we know that wolves are a pack animal, whereas these coyotes, they're a family group, but they're not necessarily a pack animal. They don't stick together like a pack does. A pack is very much about a cohesive unit, a family unit. It's directed primarily by the alpha male and the alpha female. They're the ones who kind of make all the decisions. So here again is a very neat variety of the canid family. This is actually a melanistic coyote. This was photographed in northern Saskatchewan. And why would this occur? Well, it could just be a color morph. That's a possibility. But I've seen some Heinz 57s out there, if you want to call it that, in terms of the dog family, where perhaps a bigger female coyote mated with a smaller male wolf. And you get an animal that you're kind of like, whoa, that's really unique. And that's actually quite common out in the Ontario area, where we have what are known as coy wolves. And that's a wolf coyote cross. And they come with a whole complete set of different behaviors. They can actually be quite curious in us. They can be a little bit too curious in terms of their size and their abilities. And that's because coyotes are curious in humans, but actually wolves, they're terrified of us, mainly because they have been hunted for those last couple centuries. They really have been kind of persecuted in terms of being wolves. A little bit of a question mark around that, why that has happened over the years, but sometimes not understanding an animal can actually make you fearful of it. And for the most part, coy wolves, they want nothing to do with us. In fact, the only documented case of a wolf attack in Canada was at an area where it was actually a garbage dump site. And the wolves had become habituated to human food. anytime you have an animal that's habituated to human food, you do have a dangerous animal. It's just the reality. And then, of course, we have our lovely red fox, and that's part of the canid family, even though this is an animal that actually has a lot in common with cats. Their pupils are kind of slit-like. They'll even climb trees sometimes. Their claws are semi-retractable at times. So it's kind of neat that, they kind of went to the edge of almost cats, but they're still part of that dog family. Now, could a fox and a wolf mate? No, not really. I mentioned that earlier on. I mean, there's some physiology there that has to be there. So you have to have similar size individuals. And that's why coyotes and wolves can cross over quite easily. But when we're talking about a domestic dog and a wolf, that'd be pretty rare, unless it was a larger breed of dog, of course. Now, wolves are pack animals. For the most part, everything revolves around that two central individuals, the alpha male and the alpha female. And of course, they compete to get into that position, especially the alpha male. And they'll hold that position as long as they're breeding. They're the first ones to eat, and they're the only ones to breed in the pack. The alpha male is so dominant that some of the lower class males, not lower class, lower class, because they're subordinates. Some of the lower individual males actually are very, very submissive. They might not even mark their territory, or they might be very cautious around that alpha male because they don't want to fall out of line and get the wrath of the alpha male. He can be quite aggressive. He's got to keep that group together, and all the responsibility falls on the alpha female and the alpha male to be the ones who keep the pack strong, healthy, and surviving so that their genes can be passed on for future generations. Eventually, some of these subordinates might take over in terms of the pack, but in the meantime, they're helpers. So in January, we have something called the wolf moon. And it's an interesting time of year because it was called the wolf moon because wolves would howl at the moon. Okay. Well, they're actually not howling at the moon. January is known as a really big communication month for wolves, and they are doing a lot of howling, but for a very different reason than we might think. They're not howling at the moon and going, ooh, it's hunting time and there's lots of light. No, it's actually because it is breeding season. And those howls, well, they're communicating a lot to a lot of packs around, to also the individuals within the pack. They're saying, hey, we're this cohesive group. This is who we are. Rah, rah, rah. We are this wolf pack. They're also telling packs in the distance, don't come play in our field here. The alpha male and the alpha female, we will protect them. And they will actually protect their pack. They'll actually do it so far that wolves will actually die for the sake of each other. There's documented cases of wolves putting themselves in front of other wolf packs and actually taking them on and realizing the consequences that they actually died. But they saved their pack and they saved their pack members. They put that pack first and foremost. Okay, let's do a quick poll here. I'm curious. Okay, I want to know how many people have actually experienced wolves in the wild. So maybe you went to a sanctuary or something like that. That doesn't count. It has to be in the wild, you guys. Okay, so were you out in a national park? Were you outdoors somewhere? Did you actually experience a wild wolf? Okay, curious to know. Oh, wow. Pretty good numbers here. I love it. So at the end of the poll, we have 63% of you have experienced wild wolves. 36% of you have not. That's neat. For those of you that have not, keep going out there. I hope at some point you do get to experience wild wolves. For those of you that have experienced them, congratulations. They're a very rare species to see out in the wild. They're very shy. They're very smart. They have a skill and ability far beyond our human sensory abilities. We'll talk about that in a bit. And so if you've seen a wild wolf, you've been very, very fortunate. You don't have to worry. If you ever have a wolf encounter, they are not there to attack you. I have a biology friend who's worked on wolves for many, many years, and he says, Jason, you never have to worry. They do not want to harm us, okay? So just relax and be okay. If you have a dog with you, that can be a little different. But in terms of ourselves, they really are very, very shy of us. Okay. So going back to this January period, they're howling a lot. They're setting up their territories. They're saying, hey, we're the pack that's in this area. Those howls can be heard for up to 10 kilometers away. And they basically defend their territory. So they'll go ahead and they'll say, listen, if you guys are coming across that line and we hear of you, we're going to come over and we're going to actually defend our territory. A lot of this howling lines up to the fact that come January, February, it's mating season. And I don't know how they know this, everyone, but it's pretty amazing that the peak of wolf mating in Alberta, Canada is on February 14th. Yes, Valentine's Day. That's incredible. Incredible that that happens on that day. So the alpha male and the alpha female are the only two to breed in the pack, and that peaks right around Valentine's Day. It is true love. They mate for life. As I mentioned earlier, they will actually die for each other. So alpha males and alpha females take that commitment seriously and are willing to take it ultimately to if they have to defend and die for their partner. So pretty incredible. Okay, this was a print I released just last spring. This is Duty and Dedication. Just a beautiful female wolf from the Kootenays out in British Columbia. Had a great experience with her one evening and just felt so honored to experience her as she was going along in her hunting journey. She was kind of traveling along the edge of a river area and was able to get peeks of her every once in a while as she was traveling there. Very rare occurrence to see that. She would have gone into a den most likely kind of in mid-April. She would have given birth to her little, 65 days is the gestation. She would have given birth to her little cubs, they're called, in mid-April. And she would have had 4 to 6 wolf cubs. When they're born, they're blind, they're deaf, and they're less than a half a kilogram in weight. They're actually, quite small, very, very helpless, of course. And at this point, all the helpers start to help out. So you can see here, she's in the river and you can actually see from her physiology there on her belly, she's been lactating. So she would be out hunting and all the subordinates, all the helpers are helping out to raise those little cubs, those little 4 to 6 cubs that are back in the den that are helpless. And they grow pretty slow, actually. They don't grow as fast as a coyote pup or a fox kit. They actually have quite a slow growth and they're really not going to be ready to be kind of out of the den and such until, probably June, end of June, beginning of July, whereas fox kits are already out at the beginning of June. She can carry up to 10 kilograms of food back in her belly. And of course, she will then deliver it to them by regurgitating. So pretty amazing what these guys can do. They have a huge home range. It's incredible. Look at these little wolf pups. Isn't that awesome? Yeah. That's from years and years ago. I had a great experience getting to watch these two play, little cubs playing beside their dens. So just a split second moment that I captured on an afternoon where I happened upon this and I never got to experience that group again. That's how shy these wolves are. So they have very large home ranges. They can travel. Look at this beautiful. Yeah, this is Forest Shadow. Just goes to show the different color phases. This is a little bit older individual. He or she was photographed in August. So they start to grow up a little bit bigger, but surprisingly, they are fairly relatively small compared to like coyotes or fox young by the time August rolls around. Their growth is a lot slower. There's a lot to grow there. They grow into their paws. They have these massive, massive paws. So it takes a bit for them to kind of get going where they're going. So they have amazing home ranges. They can travel up to 200 kilometers in a 24-hour period. Okay. For those of you in Toronto, that means this wolf, or you, if you were a wolf, you could walk to the Niagara-on-the-Lake Gallery and enjoy that beautiful gallery with Natasha and walk all the way back to Toronto in 24 hours. What a feat. For those of you in Calgary, that would mean you'd go all the way to the Banff Gallery and come all the way back to Calgary. For those of you in Saskatchewan, you'd leave Saskatoon and you'd get up to Prince Albert National Park and you'd call it a day. It would have been 24 hours of getting there. So they have this constant trot of about 8 kilometers an hour, but they can also reach speeds of 60 kilometers an hour. So when they really have to get going, they can get going. So home ranges can be, you know, anywhere from 150 to 600 square kilometers. So they can carry some or cover some really big areas, and they have to defend that territory. That's a lot of work, a lot to keep that all in check over time. So pretty incredible what they are and what they can do. I mean, but biologically engineered over, a long time. So their choice of prey can vary a lot depending where they live. Okay. So we've got anything from white-tailed deer on the top left to moose in the bottom left on your screen. It should be your left, I believe. The top right, big bison, and the bottom right, some of the barren ground caribou. And they'll travel great distances for their prey, and then they might carry it back in their belly, or they might just consume it there and then go to the next area where they might find food. It really depends on their habitat and the abundance of prey. For instance, in the Arctic, wolves and wolf packs will actually follow caribou in the wintertime and just stay with those caribou as they migrate and hunt them. They kind of almost go out of their territory, and that can maybe lead to some problems sometimes if it crosses over into another wolf's territory. But they can have some really, really large home ranges at that time if those caribou are moving great distances. When it comes to pack sizes, you tend to see pack sizes will increase in size if they're taking larger prey. So for instance, if you're taking bison, okay, that's a big, 1,000-kilogram animal. If you're taking bison, you're going to have to be a fairly big pack to make sure that you can take that bison down safely. That's not a job for 2 wolves. That's probably a job for more like 10 or 12 wolves. And again, they're all relying on each other. So if someone gets hurt in that incident, it can be very detrimental to the entire health of the pack. So injury is a big factor in the choices they make in terms of chasing down and capturing their prey. One thing's for certain, that they rely a lot on white-tailed deer throughout Canada. A lot of their home ranges really rely on those white-tailed deer. Arctic wolves would probably be the only exception, where of course there's no white-tailed deer in the Arctic, so they rely more on those caribou and other types of species. So big travelers, this was a camera trap image that I captured just this last fall. I'm not actually there. The camera is there. There's a motion sensing trigger, and there's a couple flash guns to illuminate the area. And this wolf was just walking through. And like I said, they are walking and walking and walking 200 kilometers a day up to, and at about a pace of 8 kilometers an hour. So really neat. So yeah, these studies have shown that there's a connection between the pack size and the size of prey. So what really is the common size? Well, you're typically dealing with about 8 wolves. That's pretty common, that pack sizes would be around that 4 to 8 individuals. I've seen quite a few packs in the neighborhood of up to 12 or 13. But I'm going to do a poll. I think I have a poll question here. I hope I put this one in for us all. That would be fun if I did. Yeah, I did. What does everyone think the largest pack ever recorded was? How many individuals? How many individuals? Curious to know. Oh, wow, more than 40 right off the bat. Interesting. Wow, there's quite a mix out there. Quite a mix. Okay, I'll end the poll here. All right. So I like it. 52% said 30 to 40. That was the highest number. Next highest was 20 to 30 at 25%. 20% thought 40 or more, and 10 to 20 was only 2%. So for those of you that guessed the 30 to 40, 52% of you, over half of you, you're absolutely correct. There was a pack in Yellowstone National Park down in the United States. It's known as the Druid Pack, and it still exists today. They've been going on and going on and going on. 37 individuals. What an incredible number of wolves. And of course, they do feed on prey in Yellowstone. So not surprising that they can take bigger prey and be successful and safe, of course. Yeah, pretty incredible. Okay, well, what happens with this wolf hunting and stuff? When does it tend to happen? Well, wolves tend to hunt most after cold weather, in cold weather, and just before and after blizzards. So any kind of weather change, that's when you're going to see wolves out quite a bit. And that's when I can actually head out and try to capture some great images. I want to share this video. A lot of you have probably seen it before, but I'll just show it to you here. Incredible morning. Here we go. This was my wow. Okay, we have a thing at All in the Wild that if you speak and you forgot to turn your mic on, that you actually have to put $2 in the jar. So I owe the All in the Wild team $2 in the jar. So sorry about that, everyone. Anyway, I was just curious in the chat what everybody thought about what everyone thought about that amazing howling video. Pretty incredible. It was minus 42 that morning, and those wolves were just spectacular. I was on the edge of a frozen lake, and with the sun coming up, they were howling, but not until that sun kind of peaked did I get their breath coming out and the delay of time. It was just, a surreal moment, and I feel honored and happy to share it with you all. So, okay, let's carry on here. Okay, so when we look at these wolves, all right, for the most part, a lot of them rely on white-tailed deer for their prey. But what allows them to kind of capture their prey and such? Well, first off, their size. They can weigh anywhere between 30 to 60 kilograms. So a big male wolf can be around that 120-pound mark. Incredible. They can be 4 to 6 feet in length. They're quite a tall animal. They seem quite lanky. Sometimes when you see them, you're like, is that a white-tailed deer? So that height, that weight gives them all kinds of abilities. The crushing power of their jaw, they say, is 1,000 times more than our jaws. It's incredible, just the power in those jaws. Their sense of smell is 100 times greater than ours, and their sense of hearing is about 20 times greater than ours. So in this photo here, sneaking up on this wolf, he was actually sleeping underneath that spruce tree there. And I just happened to snap a branch before I was getting up over this hill in the Banff area. And I knew that meant he was probably up and he was probably nervous. And sure enough, I crested the hill, just climbed just over the top with my camera lens, and he was gone. They are so tricky. You really have to be so careful and out stealth them. It's incredible to try to capture them. So okay, let's share another beautiful video. Of course, very social animal, right? They're packs. They love to be social. Socialization is just a part of their everyday life. Again, what an incredible moment that I got to experience that. and just so fortunate to experience that group out on a frozen lake. There was actually 8 and 5, and very seldom did you see all 13 together. But in that instance, 5 came out of the trees, and they all decided to play together. Really, really neat. So again, these lakes and such in the wintertime are very important to wolves being great at hunting. They have to get an animal out in an open area and be able to then catch up to them. White-tailed deer are quite agile in the forest, so going around trees and such. Wolves might not be as successful unless it's an ambush. But once they get them out on a frozen lake, what typically happens is these lakes are windswept, and wolves' paws are, a bit like, at times when I put my hand down on a wolf paw, my hand almost fits inside of them. That's how, definitely the palm of my hand would be the size of a wolf. And so when they spread those feet out and they've got 4, they disperse that weight. They're going to stay on top of the ice, on top of the snow or the windswept snow. Whereas a white-tailed deer with their little hoof, or an elk, they're going to go through, they're going to punch through. And so at that point, the wolves can just outpace them and they can really catch up to them. Wolves need about 1 kilogram of meat to survive per day. A healthy pack needs about 3 kilograms of meat per day to breed. And they can fit, as I mentioned, up to 10 kilograms of food in their belly in one meal. That is the equivalent, for those of you out there who like to measure this in human terms, that's the equivalent of about 100 hamburgers. That's pretty incredible. So they really can, it's kind of feast or famine. If you look at a pack of 10 wolves, then, for instance, or that group of 13 approximately, they need about 30 kilograms of food per day to be a healthy pack, a breeding pack, a pack that's going to have those little cubs and raise them successfully. A white-tailed deer weighs around 60 kilograms, so the same size as a large male wolf. So on average, they need to capture a white-tailed deer about every second day to be a healthy pack. And so you can imagine then that this is a species that is very prey-driven. If their prey is doing well and abundant, they can do well. If their prey is declining, then they're going to decline as well. And so when we look at this, wolves are actually known as a keystone species. They'll take care of a lot of those sick and unhealthy animals, and they'll keep the ecosystem quite healthy. And they'll vary their populations with what's out there. So everything works in order and everything works in combination and in sync. And they're very good at keeping that sync for a lot of species, hence the term keystone species. They're key to the ecosystem. Oh, this was an incredible encounter in Banff that I had to talk about. And as one of the All in the Wild team members, Troy from Australia, and he wanted to go out photographing with me. So one evening I took him out along the Bow River and didn't expect this to happen. I expected the elk to maybe be fighting in the river and such. But while these two elk were fighting, there was wolves howling in the background. What an incredible moment. And at one point, one wolf did take a run at one of the younger elk. And these bulls actually defended that elk against the wolf. Didn't see that whole interaction. I would have loved to have. But you have to imagine that those elk are 6x6 in terms of their points. So that's 12 knives. And again, we have to talk about that risk that these animals take. If they get injured, that's going to impact their pack. So I'll just share a few moments after this encounter here. What a moment, eh? Yeah, that was incredible to get to experience that and to see, just the interaction of prey and the predator, the elk and such. Those wolves were they were probably doing a hunting call. They're trying to call all their pack members and say, hey, let's do some hunting because it is time to satisfy those needs. So with their hunting, Yeah, rallying the pack, and you can see this at one of our galleries at All in the Wild, Banff and Niagara on the Lake. Beautiful, beautiful piece, rallying the pack. And the previous one was Battle Royale, which is one of my favorite elk images I've ever captured. So anyway, there's a lot of connection with a lot of other animals. When we talk about a species being a keystone species, well, then what does that mean? Well, it means that everybody kind of works together. And one animal in particular that's really connected to wolves are the ravens. And ravens in folklore are known as messengers. And I've seen this time and time again when I'm out doing my work with wolves. And that is I will notice where ravens are going. I will also notice what ravens are doing. And wolves and ravens work together. The ravens will actually identify to the wolves where something might be, and the wolves will be in tune to that. Once the wolves capture something, well, the ravens have the cleanup and the free meal, and everybody wins. Well, except for unfortunately the prey item. But if the prey is struggling, which I have seen in the past, and I've witnessed, I haven't photographed, but I've witnessed the odd white-tailed deer being captured. A lot of times these animals are struggling and probably very near, having a tough life and at the end of time. So it's part of the natural cycle, unfortunately. But other species like this golden eagle, which I captured on a frozen lake, and this was a wolf kill. They had obviously captured it probably in the evening, probably had a good feed of it. And this golden eagle on a stormy afternoon was cleaning up what it could get before they came back in the evening, of course. So, and pine martens on many times when I've seen natural wolf captures and gone and visited, sometimes a pine marten shows up and they're cleaning up as well. They're snacking on what is there. So pretty interesting how everything benefits. All right. Just want to do something here quick. Okay, no, excuse me for a second. I'll just get back here. Just have to double check that yes, okay. Awesome. Okay, sorry everyone. Thank you for your moment there. It's a lot to juggle when I'm doing all this, keeping everything together. And of course, Arctic fox. You might be surprised to know, but when I've been up in the Arctic working on polar bears, on occasion, I have experienced wolves out on the ice hunting seals. And it would be another opportunity for wolves to make a capture. Obviously, caribou would be their diet staple in the Arctic. But again, these Arctic fox will clean up. They'll be very careful, though. They'll only come after the wolves most likely have left and left a few scraps around. But Arctic fox will clean up what might be left behind as well. Have to share this encounter, probably the best encounter I ever had with wolves. I told you all you don't have to fear wolves, and you really don't. When I completed my master's degree up in Canada's Central Arctic in biology, I went and volunteered back to help out on a wolf project. The wolf cub on the left was when I was working with a good friend of mine, Lyle, and we were observing wolf dens. And then on the right was when I was volunteering on some Arctic fox work again. And we were out one evening, and in the distance, we heard those howls. And again, don't forget, they can be 10 kilometers away. And so we kind of stopped and just sat. We were observing fox dens, but we had our snowmobiles and we were going to head to our next location. We decided, no, we'll just turn the snowmobiles off. And we looked through our binoculars, and in the distance, we saw wolves coming over a hill, and we're like, whoa, this is, wow, incredible. And they seemed to be coming in our direction. So we waited a little longer, and we actually walked up and kind of hid in some rocks. And lo and behold, if one wolf didn't show up, and all of a sudden another one and another one and another one. We were surrounded by 10 wolves. This was the alpha female, minus 20 that night. You can see the frost on her face, and this image is titled The Matriarch. Incredible moment, and they just surrounded us. You know, you're at their whim. There was 3 of us, thankfully. If I'd been by myself, I would have felt quite nervous. But again, I would have reminded myself they're not going to attack. One of them, the hair on the back did come up, and I was like, uh-oh. But no, it was a young individual. And I believe that individual was actually scared of us and not sure what we were. So eventually they trotted off and had a great moment, great experience, and a great image with my 35 millimeter film camera. So yeah, they really are safe. Again, this was lying on the shore of a lake, and 5 wolves were coming right toward me. And of course, a lot of you know these 2 images. This was one of the first ones that came quite near, younger individual, but this wasn't the one that stood out. This one stood out. Very beautiful dog, very tranquil, reserved. And this was Lass. This was the alpha female of the pack, from what I could tell, because one of the younger ones kind of stuck near her. Okay. And then, of course, some of you have collected this piece, and this was Lord. And again, I had a couple wolves come behind me in the forest. I was laying on the edge of a shoreline. I could see the pupil of Lord's eyes, and I had to look above my camera and go, hello, I'm not here to hurt you. And when I did that, everybody kind of froze. The ones that were in the forest already kind of came running back out onto the ice, and they all joined together. And actually, the 2 younger ones, they kind of whimpered next to Mom. They kind of were a little bit scared. And then they just trotted down the lake. And I said, guys, it's okay. I'm not here to hurt you. And it's just such a beautiful experience. But I mean, wolves have been persecuted for hundreds of years. And so they have that natural fear of us. Otherwise, I think, yeah, we might have a completely different relationship with them and be out in the wilds a lot, and we'd have wolves coming over to check us out. And yeah, not like dogs though. Let's keep it real. But we would see a lot more wolves if they just weren't so scared of us. So in terms of my photography and ethical photography of wolves, one of the best times of year is during the winter. You're not impacting the den sites or anything like that. During the denning season, you would have to be very, very careful. Be very professional in the way that you behave. So if anyone out there is ever finding a wolf den, be very careful. The wolves that's their most stressful time. They're feeding little ones. They're trying to get as much food as they can. And of course, mother wolf is, she's got a lot going on. So be very careful about that. So here I am out on the lake photographing. No, that was a buddy of mine captured that when I was photographing red fox. You're not going to have a wolf walk up to you out on the ice unless you're hidden. You have to be really, really quite hidden. And I'll just show you one video quickly here of a natural blind that I used on one occasion when I was photographing wolves. Yeah, and you'll see I'm back behind all these trees. I'm trying to stay out of any sunlight. I'm on the edge of a shore of a lake. There might be wolves out on that lake, and I'm setting up, and then I'm sitting very quiet. Sometimes I'll use spruce boughs, and I'll actually kind of cover myself up even more, depending on where I'm at. Sometimes I will dig into the snow and try to almost create a little bit of a quinsy, a little bit of a wall, and then my camera lens is just poking through, and I'm laying down. But the big thing is they can't hear you, they can't see you, they can't smell you. And when I captured Lord, that was actually the case. I had the wind in my favor, so the wind was into my face. They had captured a white-tailed deer that they had just finished out there, and I knew that they might head back in my direction because, again, their core area was where I was. So I thought, well, they might head back this way. One big issue that you can experience during this photography in the wintertime, though, is basically any kind of radiation coming off the snow. So I've missed some great images. Look at this image. Like, what a shot. I mean, what an experience. And you're sitting in your blind going, oh, just not the right conditions today. There's just a little bit too much sun, and there's a lot of things, a lot of factors that go into this. When you're shooting those really long 800 millimeter plus lenses, there's a lot that goes on. So it's got to be an overcast day. It has to be no humidity, no radiation coming off the snow, because you can't get that close to wolves unless you're using some different techniques. So when speaking with a good friend of mine, Lyle, the biologist, he said, it's incredible to think of the images you get, Jason. Like, I know how, working in that field, I know how seldom I see wolves. And when I do see them, how it's just a glimpse. And he says, to think you can capture an image where everything lines up with the wild wolf and the wind and the lighting, and you're in close enough proximity to capture that special moment. So I know how rare and how special some of these images are. So love sharing them with you. I've started to employ a few other techniques now. I am doing a little bit of camera trapping, as I mentioned, kind of back a ways back in the presentation. So cameras that can stay out, they might be on a trail or something, and they'll just take in the environment. You never know what you'll find, but you have to be a real biologist. You have to know what you're looking for, what signs you're looking for, because wolves, again, they have big home ranges, but they have certain main highways, like double lane highways or the 401 in Toronto. And then they got secondary routes, and then they got these gravel roads that they hardly ever travel. And you got to know which road they're traveling. You got to figure out which one it is, because that way you can get some of these images through camera traps. This was awesome. I want everybody to pay attention to this. This was one of my camera traps where white-tailed deer came walking down, nice 4-point buck on each side. And it was great to get this image. And you're like, wow, cool. And I'm looking through my viewfinder and such as I'm checking the camera traps and resetting everything. And yeah, lo and behold, just a few days later, look who came through. Right on the exact same trail. So it's an ecosystem. They're all sharing the same area. They all got to work together, and it's about predator and prey. So pretty neat, pretty neat. Okay, with that, I'm going to end it there. I'm going to put one of the offers up lowered so that you guys have it there. Okay. Valentine's Day is coming. Get something beautiful for yourself. Love a friend or someone else. Our galleries are open. We have an online, of course. You can visit the website anytime, and you can call into one of the galleries or into Saskatoon head office, and they'll help you with anything. So maybe one of these wolf prints will interest you, and you want to collect it for yourself or a dear loved one. So, okay, with that, I'm going to go back to the chat, and I'm going to end the presentation here. I'll leave that offer up, okay? And I'll get back to you all here, and I'm going to go to the chat, and I appreciate everyone who has been here. Oh, wow. Lots of great comments. Oh, cool. You've all been commenting back and forth. That's great. Thank you, Janine, for mentioning some things. So now it's your time. It's your turn to ask any questions that you might want to ask about wolves, about any of my photography. I will try to answer them as best I can. And if I can't, I will go ahead and try to get the answer for you and follow up another time. So is there any questions that anybody has? Oh, thanks, everyone. Nice comments coming from everybody. Will we have access to a recording? I have lost picture, just getting audio. Yes, Liz, you will. Okay. Just so you know, there will be, it'll come out in our next email. There will be a webinar replay link, and actually you get one sent to you after this as well. So you're welcome, Keith. You're welcome, Natasha. Oh, thanks, Greta. Appreciate that. How do you keep your camera operating in the cold? Thanks, Mark, for that question. That is actually tricky, especially in that -40. Again, you have to remember when you're taking your camera from cold into a warm room or a warm vehicle, bring with you any type of airtight bag, plastic bag works, even garbage bag. You got to put that equipment in there, cinch it tight, make sure no air can get in there, leave it warm up inside there. If you don't, you can get a lot of humidity. You can actually get some lenses fogging inside the elements there. Only other thing you have to be concerned about is your batteries. And I always keep an extra set of batteries in my breast pocket inside my coat. So I've always got 2 extra sets of batteries there. I know that I'm going to be okay if that battery set, gets too cold and starts to really bring down the abilities of the camera. It's tricky. Good gear. Make sure you've got warm clothes, I've sat easily for 6 hours in a blind waiting for wolves to come back to a kill. And honestly, every winter, I probably spend a month or 2 on wolves for all of you out there, just to let you know how special these images are. Spend a month or 2 on wolves. And if I get 2 or 3 great encounters, I feel very fortunate. Just the other day, I had 5 wolves on a frozen lake in northern Saskatchewan, felt very confident. They're about 300 meters away, 400 meters away, and there was nothing I could do. You're not going to get close to them. But I'll keep going out and keep trying to learn their patterns and what they're doing, and try to be there and be at the right place at the right time. So, okay, other questions. How many wolves are currently in the Bow Valley? Keith, I heard recently they had a really good year. So I actually think they had 4 to 5 pups, and then there were some sub-adults. So that pack could be around that 8 to 10 individuals, Keith. Again, it's really going to vary. Like, I know in the Bow Valley, we have special circumstances there where unfortunately animals get hit on the roadways and on the tracks. Wolves are the species that you can try to get rid of them. And I say that in in a soft way, because we're not trying to get rid of them in the Bow Valley. There's just a lot of human interactions and stuff that happen that are unfortunate for the wolves. But the wolves rebound quickly because they are relying on that prey, on the abundance of that prey. So if there's a lot of prey in the area, Keith, that Bow Valley pack will keep coming back. It might decline for a year, but it should keep coming back. There shouldn't be anything there that's going to deter that pack from remaining in the Bow Valley. Last I heard, I believe that group is at 8 to 10. I heard they had a really good year with puppies, but I also heard they were doing some things where they were near the roadways, and that's always dangerous for animals. So, have you been back to the NWT this winter? No, Todd, I haven't. Haven't been back there in a bit. I did go up to the ice road a few years back where some of that caribou work was. I was hoping to experience wolves there, Todd. But no, I didn't get back up there this year. I will be going up into the Arctic in April with my good friend David. I believe that's going to happen this year. And of course, we'll be out on the Arctic Ocean ice for polar bears. So yeah, okay. How do packs stay vital so they accept other wolves? I believe, Riley, I can't really answer that 100%. I'd be doing a little bit of an educated guess on that. But there is some genetic transfer when pack members, when that alpha male and alpha female kind of move on. I think there can be new pack members that perhaps come in. There's new packs that form. So there can be a little bit of overlap in terms of some of the genetics. So keeping that away from the inbreeding side of things, I think there can be some pack transference when that alpha male and alpha female are at the end. And so when we're getting this new pack and this new hierarchy, then I think some of that can change, Riley. That's a really good question. You could Google it. It should come up for you exact answer on that, but I'm pretty certain that that's how it is. Tanya asks, if an alpha is killed with the other alpha mate with will the other alpha mate with another member of the pack? Most likely. Okay. Again, that's going to be a big transfer position. There's going to be a lot of kind of hierarchy stress. There's going to be some fighting within that pack. The alpha female, for instance, if that was the case, should stay in her position, and the new alpha male should rise to that hierarchy. If the alpha female was killed, then one of the younger females, if she was a breeding age, would move into that position. But again, that might be, Tanya, that might be the answer to Riley's question, that if something like that happens and you don't have a breeding female, then the pack may have to accept a new female into their pack so that they can continue to be strong. So. Okay. Angela asks, okay, so I answered that as well. Angela asked about if someone dies there. Yeah. Oh, great. Great to hear, Mike, that you have some encounters in the Canada Lake area. Right on. Cool. Thank you, Norman Candace. I appreciate that comment. Greta asked, do wolves also prey on mule deer? Typically, yes. Like in the Bow Valley and such, where there are mule deer, the occasional mule deer, yes, they will prey on them for sure. They're part of their, a lot of wolves are boreal forests though, mountain areas. And so typically mule deer tend to be a little bit more southern, not up in those treed areas and such. So for sure, definitely in the mountain ranges, in the mountain areas where there's mule deer, yes, for sure. Oh, right on. Rick McIntyre has some great books on the Yellowstone wolves. The Reign of Wolf 21 is the record druid pack you talked about. Cool. Right on. I love that, Colleen. Thanks for sharing that for everybody. So if you want to know more, I guess it's called the Reign of Wolf 21. Yeah, incredible time for that druid pack at that time. Okay, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Chad. What's the average lifespan of wolf? Again, you're probably around that 10 to 12 years, Chad. That would be the typical lifespan of wolves and such. So yeah, pretty typical. Okay, it seems like there's no other questions at this time. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join me this evening. And again, thanks to my community for being so awesome. We love you guys and really appreciate all your support. Look forward to Valentine's Day. I'll announce when the next webinar is coming up, maybe end of February, beginning of March. I'm not sure yet. And if you haven't visited one of our galleries lately, please feel free to stop in, say hi to the team, and pick out your new Bantle art piece. And of course, you can find us online as well. Okay, so really appreciate it, everyone. Thank you so much, and I'm going to sign off. Looks like there's no more questions. If you have any questions, by all means, you can reach out to me via email through our info@allinthewild.com. Okay? Take care, everyone. Happy February. Bye for now.